Mr. Vice President, thank you very much for joining us today. All right, gas prices are down. It looks like inflation is easing a little bit.
Sure.
But you cannot turn on the television without hearing a business executive speak about the tariffs, the kind of whiplash on the tariffs, and some of the difficulty they're having in making long-term investments and projections because of this uncertainty.
Sure.
What can you do to reassure them that this is all going to settle out?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think the president's been very clear. He wants to impose tariffs on foreign importers because he wants to bring investment and jobs back to the United States of America. So what I'd say to those business leaders is I think the president has actually been quite clear about what he wants to accomplish: build more in the United States of America, invest more in the United States of America, raise wages for workers in the United States of America, and you don't have to pay these tariffs at all. There is, as the president has said, a recognition that we have to accept, which is that, look, Joe Biden left this economy in a disaster. He ran the highest peacetime deficits we've ever had in this country. He left us with a significant debt crisis. And the president has come in and said, look, we have to accomplish a lot of things simultaneously. We have to bring down inflation, which I think we're making some good progress on. We have to actually ensure critical government services like Social Security and the military function for the American people. And we also have to force businesses to invest more, not overseas, not in Chinese workers, but in American workers. And I think we're doing all of those things. Rome wasn't built in a day, of course. This is not going to happen overnight. But I think that both businesses and workers are ultimately going to benefit from President Trump's policies.
But can you rule out the possibility, as Reagan faced in his first term in office, coming off a terrible economic calamity for the country, can you rule out a recession, even a temporary one?
Well, look, I think you never can predict the future, but I think the economy, the fundamentals of the economy are actually quite strong right now. And we'll see how this unfolds, Laura. But I think that by inducing more businesses to invest in American workers, by reshoring some of those critical supply chains, we are going to make this economy stronger over the long haul. And that is the president's ultimate goal. We have to remember, Laura, people forget 5 years ago, of course, we had the COVID crisis. And aside from the public health element of it, what it should have taught us, Laura, is we can't rely on communist China to make all the critical stuff. You had hospitals that didn't have medical supplies. You had businesses, manufacturing businesses, that couldn't get core raw materials because China was shut down. What the president is doing is changing 40 years of a failed bipartisan consensus in Washington, D.C. that has sold out American workers and destroyed the underlying economic strength of the United States of America. We're going to rebuild it. It's going to take a little time, but we are going to do it.
Does that include medical device manufacturing, which most of it really went to Canada? So all these great American companies from Minnesota and Midwest shot up there to Canada, lower prices, the companies like it, but American workers lost out. So how long would this transition period be to bring those types of companies, if that's the ultimate goal, back here?
Well, look, I think it's going to take time, right? Some of the stuff, you're already seeing factories that are adding shifts for American workers. That happens immediately. Some factories, it takes 18 months or 2 years to build a new facility. So it really depends industry by industry. But the basic thrust of President Trump's economic policies is if you invest in the United States of America, you're going to be rewarded with lower taxes, lower regulations, lower energy costs. If you want to build a factory in China, that's your right, but you're going to pay when you try to bring that stuff back to the United States.
Or Italy.
Yeah, and the president made this point actually in the visit with the Prime Minister of Ireland yesterday, that the European Union has in some ways been the worst on American workers and American industries of anybody. They're imposing ridiculous tariffs. They say that they're our most important ally. And of course, we care about European security, Laura, but they don't treat us like an ally when it comes to economics. They actually hammer American consumers and American workers in the process. The president, the thing that underlies all this, Laura, is of course a defense of the American worker, but a recognition that we're not going to take unfairness anymore. If Europeans do something to us, we're actually going to fight back economically. For the first time in 40 years, we have a president who's standing up for America's people.
Your hometown, Ohio, destroyed. Akron, all these wonderful American cities, totally just kicked to the dirt for decades. And all those people were told, learn to code, do other things. And now it's going to be a difficult